Good morning. I'm Maria Owens. I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships here in Richland School District 2. I want to walk you through what's going to happen this morning, and then we will officially get started with Dr. Davis. This morning, as far as the order of events, Dr. Davis will come and welcome. Then we'll hear from each of the entities who are signing this wonderful partnership. I'll make sure to come up and announce to you which groups are coming up so that you'll know, members of the press, who it is that is about to speak. At the end of their comments, at the end of all of the comments, we will have an open question and answer session. So we will look forward, hold your questions to that time, and we'll make sure we answer any of our media questions at that point. I want to point out to all of you that BeSMART does have a table set up at the back of the room. So there's information on that table that you may want to take with you. In addition, members of the press, we do have a fact sheet, and on that fact sheet we have a listing of all of the participants in this partnership and this Memorandum of Understanding. This morning, Dr. Ashley Atkinson from Lexington District 3 and Dr. Robert Maddox from Lexington District 4 could not be with us and didn't have a representative available. But Lexington's 3 and 4 districts, we want to make sure you realize that they are participating with us. And in addition, the Sumter City Police Department is participating but wasn't able to send a representative this morning either. So with that, we will get things started, and I want to introduce to you our superintendent from Richland School District 2, Dr. Barron Davis.
Thank you, Maria. So good morning, and on behalf of all of the superintendents, our collective school boards across the Midlands, our hospital systems, our local law enforcement agencies, and the BeSMART volunteers represented today, we welcome you here to our facilities in Richland Schools District 2, and we are so grateful and appreciative of your attendance and your efforts to be a part of this wonderful, wonderful event and collaboration. Along with this group that is seated behind me, we also have members of our local school boards and other elected officials. If you are here, if you would please stand so that we can say thank you for your leadership and your support on this initiative. To all of our local school board members that are here and the elected, thank you all so much. Today, we announce an important regional partnership aimed at promoting responsible gun ownership. And sadly, we have seen time and time again what happens at our school campuses when students have access to firearms. So before we go any further, if you would please join me in a moment of silence to honor all those who've lost their lives have been lost or irreparably altered at the hands of a school shooter or school violence. Thank you. Our hearts sincerely go out to those who have been affected by the tragic use of guns in schools, and what you see here today is an effort to stand together to ensure that we are doing our part to educate our communities to end gun violence in schools. And so for several years, Richland 2 has partnered with the local parent volunteers of BeSMART to provide educational materials and resources for responsible gun ownership. Several months ago, we began working together to determine how to broaden the availability of their resources and educational materials. It was at that point that we recognized that we should really be addressing, or we should really be really addressed it on a regional basis and not just here in Richland School District 2. So today, we will sign a Memorandum of Understanding with 8 Midlands school districts, 3 hospital systems, and numerous sheriff's departments and local police forces, and the backing of the National Organization for BeSMART, Every Town for Gun Safety. At this time, I would like to introduce to you Dr. Ramasamy, Angela Vangelay, Sarah Venn, the local volunteer coordinators for BeSMART.
To be or not to be. We wake up with this question every day of our lives. And this is the question Sarah, Angela, and I had when we first came together to discuss our concerns about our children's safety in school after the Townville Elementary School shooting in 2016. The three of us met about 10 years ago where our kids started school together. And we had a common goal of keeping our children safe. And for that reason, we chose to live, and fight for that goal, to find solutions for safety of our children at school. We started volunteering at BeSMART to educate about the importance of securing firearms. We began our journey together, working with Richland School District 2 in a variety of ways to achieve that goal. There is a tribe in Africa who, when they met, greeted each other by asking, "Kasaria Ningera," which means, "And how are the children?" They realized the importance of happiness and health of their children, and that is the future of the tribe. One of my close friends' kids, about 10 days ago, shared that he woke up with a nightmare of a school shooting, and 3 days later, he had to hear a school shooting that happened in Michigan. Are our children happy, healthy, and feel safe? Clearly, it does not look like it. Did you know that firearms are the leading cause of deaths among children and teens in South Carolina? Did you know that in incidents of gun violence on school grounds in America, 75% of active shooters were current or former students, and 75 to 80% of shooters under the age of 18 obtained the guns they used from their home or the homes of relatives or friends? Did you know that approximately 20% of South Carolina high school youth surveyed in 2019 had seriously considered attempting suicide within the last year in a 2019 survey? Did you know that 49% of child suicide deaths in 2019 survey showed that in South Carolina it was caused by discharge of firearms? Did you know that nearly 18 million guns were purchased in America so far this year, second highest in the last 2 decades? Did you know that approximately 5.4 million children live in a household that has at least one loaded and unlocked gun? Did you know that there have been at least 5 incidents of gunfire and at least 29 incidents of discovery of firearms in school grounds in South Carolina this year alone?
Research shows that secure firearm storage practices are associated with up to a 78% lower risk of self-inflicted firearm injuries and an 85% lower risk of unintentional firearm injuries among children and teens. Evidence strongly suggests that secure firearm storage is an essential component to any effective strategy to keep schools and students safe. It's an adult's responsibility to keep their guns stored securely so children and teens cannot access them. Kids are curious. They know where the guns are stored. And if they access them, tragedies can result. We're reminded with every school shooting, like the one at Townville Elementary in 2016 and at Oxford High School in Michigan just last week, that such a tragedy could happen any day right here in the Midlands of South Carolina. In both of these shootings, had the parents properly secured their firearms, those school shootings could have been prevented. The statistics that Purnima has shared emphasize why it's so important to follow the principles of BeSMART. BeSMART is an acronym which encourages all adults, including gun owners, to follow these 5 simple points. The S is secure all guns in your home and vehicles. And securing means unloading and locking the guns and storing the ammunition separately. The M means model responsible behavior around guns. The A means ask about the presence of unsecured guns in other homes that children visit. The R is to recognize the role of guns in suicide. And the T is tell your peers to be smart. When Sarah, Purnima, and I first met with Richland School District 2 to express our concern for our children's safety at school, I remember saying that although an outside armed intruder was a possibility, my biggest concern was a student bringing a gun to school. Yes, we can and should continue to ask students to report any information about a gun brought to school, but more importantly, we must encourage adults to secure their guns to prevent them from being brought to school to begin with. We would like to personally thank Richland 2, especially Dr. Davis, Libby Roof, Maria Owens, for your support of BeSMART and for initiating this partnership, and Laura Peck from Prisma Health for bringing other hospital systems in to this partnership. We also thank each of these school districts who have joined this partnership, and the law enforcement offices and hospital systems, all who have decided to join us in this effort to promote this crucial BeSMART educational program so that we can proactively work together to try to prevent a tragedy at one of our schools. Thank you.
Now we'll hear from our medical partners. First, we have with us Mr. Terry Gunn. He is the CEO of MUSC Health Midlands.
Thank you, Maria. We're very honored today to join with all of the school districts and all of the region as we carry out this BeSMART initiative. We've had so many partnerships with our school system and our community. We've had a great relationship with Richland 2 through Project Search and MedPro, and this is yet another one that we're excited to engage in. But even more so than just the merits of the partnership, it's great when you can personalize and really get behind something that means a lot to you personally. I remember back when I was in Boy Scouts growing up in Oklahoma, and I told my parents I wanted to be on the rifle team for the council rifle team. And there was a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety, and because that would have been the first time we would have had a gun in the house in our in the gun household, so to speak. But I remember when Charles Bromley, who was our scout leader and in charge of the rifle team, came and he sat down with me and my parents, and he began to educate us on the proper management and ownership and responsibility that goes with having a gun in the house and owning a gun and the things that would go on. I began to see how education and involvement replaced a casual attitude towards gun ownership and even replaced fear, and began to replace that with responsibility. And 45 years later, as we continue to be responsible gun owners in our family, it's just amazing the lessons that we learned even early on still are with us, and we still use those best practices as we are responsible gun owners, and we have healthy respect for the gun. And so I applaud what this initiative and with BeSMART, and we are so proud to be part of this as we elevate the education and begin to drive out fear and to drive out that casual attitude of gun ownership and build in a healthy respect for proper and appropriate gun ownership in our community. So thank you for all you're doing. And on behalf of all the care team members at MUSC Health, we're proud to be part of this. Thank you.
Now we'll hear from Dr. Robert Bo Cofield, representing Prisma Health Midlands, both the Columbia hospitals and the Toomey system as well.
Thank you very much, and good morning. I want to thank Richland School District 2 and Dr. Davis for hosting us here today, and for all of the colleagues sitting behind me who are supporting this important initiative. As South Carolina's largest health system, Prisma wants to ensure and that we improve the health of the communities that we serve. This includes advocating for important public health issues like gun safety. As the region's Level 1 Trauma Center at Prisma Health Richland Hospital, we stand ready to care for those needing emergency care, but we are also well aware of the impact that projects like BeSMART can have on preventing a trip to our hospitals. In the last 5 years alone, 170 children and teens have been cared for at Prisma Health Richland Hospital due to gunshot wounds. And those are only, unfortunately, the ones that made it to us. And we know that one young person injured with a gun is one too many, especially if we can help prevent such injuries through projects like BeSMART. Our Prisma Health Trauma Center Injury Prevention Program has worked with our schools and law enforcement agencies to reduce injuries in our communities through programs like Project Ready, which stands for Realistic Education About Dying Young, BeSMART, and gun safety classes as they are requested of us. This program here at BeSMART will allow us to continue those efforts, and we are thankful and proud of the collaboration with law enforcement and educational leaders here in the community to ensure that gun safety is a priority for our communities. Again, I want to thank you on behalf of Prisma Health for including us in this initiative, and we look forward to the collaboration going forward.
Now we'll hear from our district superintendents. Again, Lexington 3 and 4 are not with us today, but are participating. And superintendents, as you come up, your corresponding law enforcement agencies may come with you. If there are board members for each district who are present with us and were able to travel with us today, as your superintendent signs, you're welcome to come up as well so you can be part of that signing. First, we have Dr. Steve Wilson from Calhoun County Schools, and he has with him Captain Stanley Graham from the Calhoun County Sheriff's Department.
Good morning. I'm Steve Wilson, Superintendent of Schools for Calhoun Public Schools, and certainly want to say that we are delighted to be here, and I know that I speak for my entire board when I say that we are just honored to be part of this collaboration. Would like to though thank Dr. Barron for introducing this initiative to the Midlands superintendents, I guess maybe a month or two ago. And so we all sort of got excited about that during that time. What I would say is that I'm not exactly sure what has happened since the pandemic. We seem to have some social, emotional stuff going on with the kids since they've gotten back in school. So this initiative today is very timely as far as I'm concerned. And I believe that if we're going to solve the problems that we are having with this gun issue and with students and communities and parents, being educated about this problem is that we are going to have to do it all together with initiatives and collaborations like this. And so we're proud to be here. There are just so many things that kids have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And so if we can do something to educate them to be good stewards, be smart, if you will, in terms of how they handle weapons or see weapons or know that weapons are unsecured in the homes, then they will know what to do and how to handle that. So again, we just want to say we appreciate you being here, all of you, and thank you for this day. I would like to have my board member come up as we sign. Mr. Ned Nelson is here. And again, we have with us Captain Stanley Graham with the Sheriff's Department of Calhoun County. And I might add that we have such a tremendous partnership with our local law enforcement, and they have placed 3 law enforcement officers in each one of our schools, and we are so proud that they've done that. And so we just have a tremendous and very excellent partnership with our local law enforcement. And again, we're proud to be here, and thank you for having us and inviting us. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you very much. All right, now we will have Dr. J.R. Green, Superintendent of Schools for Fairfield County School District. With him, he has Fairfield County Sheriff Will Montgomery and Town of Winsboro Police Chief John Siebels.
Good morning. First of all, let me thank Dr. Davis for putting this together. He really, as Dr. Wilson said earlier, presented this to the superintendents as something that we could all rally around that would be impactful in our community. You know, as I thought about this event, we live in one of the most polarizing times we've seen in decades. We debate and vehemently argue vaccines and masks and history and politics. But this is probably one thing that we all can agree is an important movement. You know, there's nothing that pierces the souls of a community more than the untimely death of a young person. And so anytime we turn on the news and see a school shooting and recognize that we've lost a precious life that has so much potential, it moves something within each and every person, regardless of where you may fall on any issue. And so as we think about what we can do that's non-controversial, that minimizes the likelihood that something like that may happen. Because if it can happen in California, Michigan, it can happen anywhere. It can happen here. Then we all should rally behind that effort. You know, there was a book written about 10 years ago by Jamie Vollmer called Schools Can't Do It Alone. And as much as society wants to know, what am I going to do, or Barron or Steve, to ensure that the young people that we send in your facilities each and every day, you send back to us the same way we sent to you, we cannot do that by ourselves. And we can put up metal detectors and create all kind of policies and procedures. But at the end of the day, if it is just us involved in that effort, we won't be successful. So it'll take the efforts of every single person in our community. And we're simply saying, if you are a gun owner, do your part to ensure that your firearm is secure. There's any debate about the Second Amendment, whether you should own a gun or shouldn't own a gun. I own a gun. But every single person who owns a gun, let's ensure that your gun is secure and doesn't fall in the hands of a young person who isn't equipped to exercise the responsibility necessary to utilize such a dangerous weapon. And so on behalf of the Fairfield County School District Board of Trustees and our outstanding law enforcement partners, and you know, this isn't Sheriff Montgomery or Chief Siebels. They weren't able to make it, but they were here in support of these efforts, two of our Sheriff Department deputies. But we have established a very robust partnership over many, many years, and they recognize that they are essential for us to create the kind of environment that we all recognize we want to see in our respective schools. And so I am excited to be a part of this effort, and we are looking forward to doing our part in ensuring that we could make sure that the young people that come to our schools go back the same way parents sent them. Thank you. God bless you.
Now we'll hear from Orangeburg County Schools. Dr. Sean Foster is the superintendent. He has with him the Orangeburg Sheriff, Leroy Ravenel, a representative from Orangeburg Department of Public Safety, Captain Alfred Alexander, and from the town of North, Chief Lynn Shirer.
I'm going to ask that my school board members and school district employees also come forward as well. And while they're coming forward, again, I want to echo what's been said today. Thank you to Maria, thank you to BeSMART, but also Dr. Davis, thank you for the opportunity. When this idea, again, was presented to superintendents about a month or so ago, I was reminded of something that is near and dear to me, and that I've thought about on a number of occasions. You know, whenever you're a child and you lose a parent, or a child that doesn't have a parent, they're considered an orphan. If you're married and you lose a spouse, you're a widower. But the one thing that I've struggled with my life is, if you look through the dictionary, there's not a definition for a parent that loses a child, which tells us all that that's not supposed to happen. That's not in the natural order of life. So when there's ever an opportunity for a community to come together to do what is really intended to never happen, that's an opportunity to make sure that we're continuing to be progressive, but also ensuring the protections of our greatest resources. So I stand before you in a unique situation as superintendent here in Orangeburg, because I am uniquely the only one here that have had the unfortunate experience to go through not one, but 2 school shootings in 2 different school districts. But I can take that even further, because not only have I gone through that as a superintendent, I've also gone through that as a parent who had a child in a school during a school shooting. So I understand the passions, I understand the concerns, and I see the need for this community to come together. This is something that superintendents and school districts, as Dr. Green just said, we can't do this alone, nor do we walk around and proclaim that this is something that a school can do alone, or is it simply a school issue? On any given day, once a month, you would see not only these individuals here represented from the various law enforcement agencies, but about 17 different law enforcement agencies as we meet every single month to discuss not just gun safety, but how we can, first of all, change the perception of policing in our community and our schools, but also enhance the safety protocols to ensure not just the safety of our students, but I have buildings full of adults as well, that I want to make sure that they return home safely to their children, as we return children home safely to their parents. So this was a no-brainer for us, and I want to commend our school board because when I took it to them for their consideration, it was unanimous. It was not a lot of long discussions because these individuals, these ladies and gentlemen, are committed to the safety of children, not just in Orangeburg County, but in this state. So they should be commended as well. To have a lot of discussion, it was a no-brainer. Any issue that ensures the safety of children and teachers during this day and time, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, Orangeburg County will be there in the forefront. Because not only do we want to provide a high-quality educational experience every single day for every single child, first and foremost, I want to return them safely home to the parents. That's the least we owe to our parents. So thank you again for this opportunity, and we look forward to moving forward with a number of opportunities to ensure the safety of our children. So thank you all.
And now we'll hear from Sumter School District. Dr. Penelope Martin Knox is the superintendent, and Chief Deputy Hampton Gardner from the Sumter County Sheriff's Department is here with her.
So good afternoon. Everything that my colleagues have echoed truly is supported in Sumter School District. This is about taking a stand and doing what's right for and by our children. As one of my colleagues so eloquently said, our responsibility is to not only educate our children, but to make sure that they return home the same way they entered into our schools. We are in support of these efforts to safeguard the lives of our children. While I have Chief Deputy Gardner here with me from the Sumter County Sheriff's Department, on behalf of Anthony Dennis, the sheriff, our Chief of Sumter City Police Department was unable to join us this morning, but he stands with us. And as Dr. Green stated, this is the only time we can stand together and not argue about what's best for our children, because this is the only way we can begin to safeguard them. Now, I know we have an acronym for SMART, but as I sat here and I began to think intently, this is a time for us to begin strategizing on the best way to ensure our children are protected from gun violence and acts of violence where they utilize guns intentionally or unintentionally. This is where we begin to make it known what our expectations are each and every day for our children. This is where we take action, not to sit back and talk about the crisis that we're in, the health crisis, but for us to take action as leaders in our community, for us to demonstrate our responsibility because we owe it to our children. We have to make sure we teach them the right way to act so that they are able to grow up and to be successful in our community. So the first time Dr. Davis mentioned this in our Midlands meetings, there wasn't a doubt in my mind that I wanted to join in. This is not about signing an MOU. This is about a commitment to children. So as I began to sign, I apologize, the MOU, understand that the Board of Education in Sumter School District, our police department and our sheriff's department, we're all in to do what's best for children. That's what we do. We cannot and will not let them down. The stories that we continue to hear, the horrifying stories, the screams that give you chills, just the thought of trying to comfort children, even after they've experienced by observing or being involved in violence across our nation, it continues. The social emotional well-being of our children is our priority. And as it was shared earlier, coming out of a crisis with the pandemic, the work continues. And it begins here today, not because the media is here and they have a job to do, but to make sure we live by it and we work toward a common goal, and that is to safeguard our children. Yes, we must educate them, but we have to protect them first. So thank you, Dr. Davis. Thank you to the medical professionals. Thank you to our law enforcement and for all of the educators and our boards of education who have come together, and we're standing here today to take a stand to say no more. We will continue to do what's best for children, and it begins today, and it will continue for a lifetime. Thank you for the opportunity.
I'll introduce now all of the Richland County participants and have them come up in order. And at the end of Dr. Davis's comments and signing, Ms. Libby Roof, our Senior Chief of Communications, will come up and lead a question and answer portion. So now we have before us coming to share Dr. Craig Weatherspoon, who is the Superintendent for Richland County School District 1. We have Sheriff Leon Lott from the Richland County Sheriff's Department, and they'll be followed by Dr. Barron Davis, our Superintendent from Richland School District 2.
I would ask that one of our board members, Commissioner Jamie Devine, please come and join. Lieutenant Darren Hicks from the City of Columbia. Mirror. And Sheriff's going to talk. He's going to come up. First of all, I would like to, again, as my colleagues have done, thank Dr. Davis for his bringing this to the Midlands superintendents. And as was said, immediately this was something that the discussion didn't necessarily take long because, you know, obviously this was a commitment and an initiative that we were all supportive of in bringing back to our respective districts. It's interesting, the picture that we have up here. We have certainly school districts, we have law enforcement, we have health care. But as our colleagues have said, it also takes parents and community a part of this as well. Students get those guns from somewhere and bring those to school or issues and things in their community. That being said, it takes all of us working together, working with our students, working with our parents, working with healthcare, working with law enforcement to help make these things better. Unfortunately, I have to have a whole lot of conversations with Sheriff Lott, Chief Holbrook, City of Forest Acres, on those types of things that we want to prevent and that we want to get in front of. But this is a piece that will help us do that, that will let our parents know we need your assistance, that will let our students know we need your assistance, that again, when they come to us, we can send them home the same way. So I want to thank everyone up here for working together, those lines of communication, that support, and this is yet another tool that we can use to keep our schools, our communities, our staff, our students safe. So thank you again for this opportunity, and we look forward to continued dialogue, continued activities that help us move forward. Thank you.
Isn't this a very impressive team that's been assembled here together? Team, T-E-A-M. Together, everyone accomplishes more. And that's what it's going to take to address this problem of guns in schools and guns in our community, young people with guns, is all of us working together as a team. It's going to take all of us. This is not a school problem. It's not a law enforcement problem. It is a community problem. And it's going to take all of us contributing, however we can contribute, to solve this problem that we've got. It's not about gun control. It's about responsible gun ownership. It's about responsible parents, too. It starts at the home. Starts at the home. And our parents have to take responsibility to protecting their kids and also teaching our kids. And there's simple things we can do. And what I like so much about this program is that it's about education. It's not about enforcement. Enforcement's not going to solve these problems that we've got. It's going to be education. That's the key to success in any problem that we've got, is education. Simple things. A gun lock. A free gun lock that you can get. When you buy a gun lock's included in that box when you get the gun. Your law enforcement has these gun locks. We give them away. The hospitals work with us. They give them away. But if they just stay in this package here, they're worthless. It has to come out of this package, and it has to go in that gun. That's being a responsible parent and a responsible gun owner, is making sure that gun is secure and teaching our young people about life and respect for life. And that a gun is going to get you in either one or two places, in jail or the cemetery. We have to teach our young people that. But it takes this team of all of us together, all of us who make up this community working together to be able to solve this problem. I'm fortunate. I'm speaking for all of law enforcement today. And I'll tell you, it's great to be part of this team because, unfortunately, it gets dumped on law enforcement and gets dumped on the schools. It's not just our problem. Everybody's got to take ownership of this problem. And when we do, and we form a team like we've done today, we are smart then, and we can solve this problem. But we have to work together. So on behalf of law enforcement, again, thank you for allowing us to be part of this team. I can tell you we're going to do everything we can to contribute and educate and help protect our kids. Well, thank you.
I'd like to take this time to ask members of my board if you would mind coming up and joining me. And as we prepare to begin the closing remarks for this event, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about something to say, and my colleagues have said so many wonderful things and important things and really resonated and hit some very important points that we all should take to heart. But some names came to mind that you all don't know. Names like Tyske Gabriel and Chris Sharper and individuals like Dion Driver. Like, you don't know these people. But these were childhood friends of mine when I was in high school that died at the hands of gun violence, of other children, while I attended high school in 4 years. Not necessarily at school, but in my community. And that list is a very extensive and long list, particularly if you grew up in a community that I grew up in. And so you have to understand where the passion comes from and the willingness to take on these types of issues and make them community issues. Because we didn't have conversations about this about schools, but what we did not have was conversations about guns in our communities. And it's the guns in the communities that make their way into schools. I've had conversations with colleagues before, and I have never seen in any curriculum where we discuss guns and how to use guns properly at schools. I'm not advocating that that becomes part of curriculum. What I'm saying is we don't teach that. It's coming from somewhere else. into our schools, into our communities, a place that our parents send their children to learn. We have 4 core values in our school district: learning, character, community, and joy. And before we take on projects and initiatives, we try to filter those things through those core values. Is this about learning? Well, of course it's about learning, because we're talking about responsible gun ownership and gun safety, and advocating for parents to be parents. And that if you purchase a gun, or anyone in the community, if you purchase a gun, that you make sure that that gun is properly secured, and that your son or daughter or anyone who's visiting your home understands and has a knowledge of the fact that they're not supposed to access that. It should not be freely accessible to a child. They do not have the level of responsibility that is required to be a gun owner, so it should be secured properly. Is it about community? It's about character. Well, character, we see that demonstrated each and every day in our schools. When our students see something, they say something. They're not afraid to take the necessary actions and steps to notify the proper authorities that they have spotted something in their schools that's not safe, because they want to be safe. They're willing to share that information, and our administrators and our law enforcement agencies that we partner with immediately respond to that and take the appropriate actions. And it's about community. We talk about community in our district being our bloodline. It's about a responsibility. It's about the connection. And we need our community to take action, for everyone to be on one accord. We cannot answer the question if all the children are well if we're not taking the necessary actions and steps. This should not be a controversial topic at all. We all have to take the necessary steps to ensure that our students are well. And this should not be anything that divides us. Like many of my colleagues and many of you here today, whether it's your grandson or granddaughter, nieces or nephews, a cousin, a family friend, or your very own child, we send someone we love every single day to a school. And I send 2 of mine and a spouse into a building every day. So of course, gun safety and school safety is a part, or one of the number 1 priorities in our lives as superintendents. We all lay awake and struggle with this issue to make sure this is the one call we don't want. We don't want that call ever. So we need our community's help to ensure that we do not have those calls in our schools. And the last thing is joy. We talk about joy a lot, but it's our responsibility to create conditions where joy can reside. And I can't think of a better project, a better collaboration that should create a condition where the students' joy can reside in school. That the things they bring, that joy they bring with them, that unbridled passion and joy that they bring with them to school, we should create conditions where that can reside. That is our gift to our children. That is our gift to our children. And so I'm just so thankful for the parent volunteers, because we did have parent volunteers who stepped up and asked for a meeting with the superintendent several years ago to have a conversation about gun safety in our schools and in our communities first. And when they presented the project, they said, this is something that we all should get on board with, and we need to put the ownership on the community and on parents. Can you support this effort? And it started small, and look where it is now. Where there is vision, there's going to be provision. And so I'm thankful that that they received the vision and they shared it with us, and we were able to make the provisions necessary. And now we have this awesome assembly of superintendents across the Midlands who all agree that this is an important issue in their communities as well, and we're unified on something. And what else the best to be unified on than the safety of our students? So we're super excited and proud to be a part of this project. I'm so thankful to my staff for all the work that they do to ensure that things like this take place. We have a safety and security team, a logistics team, a communications team, my executive staff who does a lot of the work to ensure that we are connected to the community. And most importantly, I'm also thankful for our board members for supporting us and giving us the green light to move forward with worthy projects that impact the lives of our students, not just today, but tomorrow, that our children can grow up to be grandparents and send their children back to schools in Richland School District 2, and we can't do that if they're not safe and secure. So we're so thankful to all of you, and thank you to our local law enforcement agencies, our healthcare agencies, who all thought it was a worthy project and jumped right on this immediately. To the media, thank you for your attendance and the coverage. Oftentimes, we don't get the coverage that we want, but this is a worthy coverage. I'm so thankful that you are here to share this message with our community. Let's continue, above all, to put our students first in everything that we do. We're appreciative of you all, and thank you for being in Richland School District 2 today. Thank y'all.
We have a seamless process here. While I take a few questions from the media partners, we are getting copies made of the MOU that you signed today, so you'll be able to take with you. We're going to do that rapidly because I know I have a lot of very important people behind me in charge of a lot of important organizations, and we've run over our time, but I think it was well worth it to hear all of your comments and this strong message. Before I open it up for questions, I'm going to go ahead and anticipate one question, which is what exactly is in the MOU that our partners just signed. And so I'm going to briefly go over that, and we can provide copies of that text to our media partners. The first really partnership purpose is to work together to reduce firearm-related injuries and deaths in our communities by educating parents and adults on the principles of BeSMART. And then we agree to help the BeSMART organization share messages to parents and adults in our community. As education organizations, that is something we do really well. And so we have the great outlet to do that, including information in our student handbooks, letters from our superintendents to parents and guardians explaining the importance of gun storage and how to secure it, providing them with information on our websites, through email and social media, providing training about gun security. Also inviting BeSMART to be a presence and a regular presence at parent events such as PTA meetings, PTO meetings, and those events where we get the parents in to see their children perform. One of the greatest, I think, for me personally, is the availability of the gun locks, which Sheriff Light showed, and they brought a great supply here today, but that's just the start. So our districts can take some back with them today, but our law enforcement partners and our health partners have committed to providing those to our school districts when they have events to make them available. We have employees in our school districts that work closely with families that may be able to make them aware of this resource. So that is one of the greatest, I think, outcomes of this event, is identifying a good, strong, consistent funding source for those gun locks and being able to get them into the hands of the gun owners. So that is the basics of the MOU. So we probably, if y'all are okay, speakers, I'm going to take about 5 minutes to see if anybody has any questions, and then we'll get y'all out here. Any questions? Yes, Adam.
Adam Benson from the Postal Courier. What is the hospital's role in this MOU, the mental health services and facilities? How are they involved in this?
The hospital's role really is through their trauma departments and working with, providing a trained person in gun security from the trauma units to go along with the BeSMART organization, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but to go along with the BeSMART organization to community events, because the trauma individuals that work in these hospitals are the ones who see the effect the most. They're the ones who try to save those lives, and our hospitals, I think, would like to be open for other reasons than students coming to them, young children coming to them with injuries from firearms. Does y'all have anything else to add to that?
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
Laura, do you have anything? Yeah, Laura, you want to come? You come forward if you want to say a few words. Laura has been the, really the person behind getting the health, Laura Peck,
Yes.
right? Been getting the hospitals involved. So Laura, I'll let you speak. Thank you.
So my name is Laura Peck. I'm the Injury Prevention Coordinator at Prisma Health Richland Trauma Center. The role of the hospitals, as we continue to bring them on, would be to provide the educational materials, so there is cost in printing and that sort of thing. So to have those available for exhibit tables, BeSMART presentations, that sort of thing. We also have access to the gun locks, so we can have those available to parents as well or community members, and to also be trained by BeSMART to provide the presentations. There's a lot of schools in these districts and in the Midlands area, so we want to make sure that we have as many people that are able to provide the presentations to the community, and so we'll serve as a backup for BeSMART. Thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Do you want to introduce yourself? Okay. Welcome. The gun locks, the law enforcement agencies and the hospitals are providing those as they have funding available. Dr. Robinson, do you want to speak about the funding from the BeSMART, where y'all get some of your funding from? You can come to the microphone.
Okay. So we get it from our national, the material basically are all educational material. We digitally transmit it to the hospital systems, and we are asking them to provide us the printed materials. Really, like when we start, during a school district year, like nowadays everything is digital, so there's no need for any printing material, but only on tabling events and stuff like that. So I do not anticipate much of cost involved in this endeavor. Yes, it's
Yes.
all volunteer.
Yes, BeSMART is a volunteer organization.
No money involved.
And then they would provide the information to us that we share. Yes. Yes, WLTX.
Hi, I'm Todd with WLTX.
Hey, Todd.
I was wondering, you mentioned there was at least 29 incidents where firearms were discovered on school campuses. Do you know exactly how many were just in the Midlands alone?
Not off the top of our head. We can probably try to get that information, but it's an estimate.
Yeah, and we said at least because, this is in 1 week, we had 2 more just in this week. So it's probably not, current, but that was, that's like an average, and this is for South Carolina. In Midlands, we do not know on top of our heads.
Can I add something to that?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to add that that's 29 guns that we know of in schools. We don't know how many more guns are brought to schools every day that are not discovered. So there's a lot of unknowns out there.
So just between Lexington 1, Richland 1, Richland 2, that's roughly 70,000 students that are educated. If you add in all those other districts that are here, I'm sure the number is probably close to maybe close to 200,000 students. That's a pretty good portion of the state's total number of students. I'm wondering if this program is, officials in the low country, the upstate, are looking at this and this could be something that's replicated elsewhere.
BeSMART has a great desire to go statewide. I actually spoke last night with a representative at the State Department of Education, make sure they were aware that we were doing this. So we are hoping that we can actually connect them through the launch of this, to Molly Spearman, State Superintendent, and possibly start there. But absolutely, you want to talk about your volunteer network?
So we do have BeSMART volunteers in several other parts of the state, particularly in Charleston. We have a very active group of volunteers who are working with Charleston School District. So it's not only here, but, and we have volunteers in other parts of the state as well. We did recently meet with the safety director at the Department of Education. So we have actually started, working to get out to the statewide school districts. So we're working on it.
I want to add that for this partnership, we are going to serve around 110,000 students roughly. Is that right?
All right, one more question, because I've gone to about my 5 minutes, and WIS, you've been very patient, so.
Do you anticipate any other school districts coming on board? If not, what reservations do they have?
Yes, no, we actually have some that are still in the process of reviewing the MOU, and just because of timing, but we've really received a lot of support and agreement that this is important. They just want to make sure that they've run it through their channels. So yes, we hope, I would like to say that we're going to get to 100% of the Midlands area, and we'll keep working towards that goal.
Do you have any other plans to increase awareness and participation?
Absolutely. This is just the start. We will sit down, each, volunteers will go and work with the school districts to develop their own unique communication plans. But thank you for coming today. This is really we've done a lot of this, sharing the message in events, but to have the media here today to make people aware of this group, you will be a big part in helping us spread the word, because when you report on it today, I hope that our BeSMART volunteers will get a lot more calls, not just from school districts, because as we've said, this is a problem that impacts schools, but it's going to take our entire community. And there are lots of community organizations out there, churches, lots of other organizations that can help us get this message and of securing your firearms. So thank you for joining us today. I'll stick around if any media has any other specific questions. And we just, again, appreciate everyone's support. Have a great day.